Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. I, Ms. Camelia Chaudhary, Manager Planning and Operation of ACIC IIT ISM Foundation, welcome you all to the 8th day of the Summer School Boot Camp for Budding Entrepreneurs. Today, our speaker is Mr. Rahul Bose. So, it is very well said that risk is derived from uncertainties over market demand, technological development, and adaptation. But it also brings opportunity for new entry by offering a new product to an established or new market. And now from this idea, we all are gathered over here on Zoom platform to hear from our expert, Mr. Rahul Bose, regarding entrepreneurial strategy that can mitigate the risk for entry. Mr. Rahul Bose is a mechanical engineer from Jadavpur University and MBA from Acceleri Jamshedpur. Mr. Rahul Bose has worked in various organizations like Tata Steel, Well, PricewaterhouseCoopers Consulting, and many other renowned companies. He is also the business consultant and trainer in various PSUs and private sectors like Well, IBM, Tisco, PwC, IOCL, Bama Lorry, Linde, and many other renowned companies. Mr. Bose has worked in India, Asia Pacific, and global roles. People, persons with cultural sensitivity, managed learning budgets, deploying major training initiatives, which led to winning business and deals, facilitated executive visioning sessions and conferences, including executive eminence and design thinking workshop. Mr. Rahul Bose is IBM certified learning professional, four-star learning knowledge facilitator, and certified disc coach and trainer, certified virtual facilitator, and thought leader. Mr. Rahul Bose has got various industrial recognition like National Council member of ISTD, course counselor of IGNU, and industrial mentor. He is also visiting faculty at leading private and government-owned B schools. So, sir, the platform is all yours. Welcome, sir, to the 8th day of Summer School Boot Camp for Budding Entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Camelia, so much for that wonderful introduction.
Thank you, sir. I think it's quite less that what you have done throughout, sir.
I don't know whether less or more, but I feel very humbled because IIT ISM Dhanbad calls, and it's always a pleasure to be here with so many bright minds. And I know this summer boot camp has been very successful. You have had Australian and international experts apart from local ones. So the session got delayed by a day, but still I can see enthusiasm very much there. Okay, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, people are logging in. So it's a great show. And I can see so many people who are eager. So thank you, Dr. Akanksha Sinha. It is my pleasure also to be, people call once. People don't call you twice if you're not good. So that is my industry experience. That if people find you worth calling, so I'm humbled that this opportunity came this way, and I would have loved to be with you today in person, but I know that this time also we couldn't. But maybe there'll be a next time when we can do it offline. So risk. Today I thought that I'll speak, and many speakers have already spoken about entrepreneurial strategy. I had seen your program, the things that you want to do, the things that already have been done. So I thought of, because entrepreneur, a new entrant, and we are always being told that no risk, no gain. Okay, which is in any book or anybody will tell you that an entrepreneur must be risk prone. I mean, he must not be risk averse, because the word, itself, entrepreneurship involves that you are putting your head in into a very uncharted water. So possibly, I mean, unless you have a family background, a backing, many people don't like to get into starting something on their own. So today we'll try to see that what are the areas where risk comes, what is risk, and then I'll give you one or two tools which you can use, and then maybe we can open it up. I really didn't want to spend 90 minutes on me speaking, but was really excited to meet all of you. So let me start off a little bit, and then I'll get introduced to many of you. I can see many people who have been in the last session, like Bhanu Pratapji. So he was there in the last session, is here today. So any of you who'd like to introduce yourself, and then maybe we could go ahead. So a few introductions would be good, so that it's not a monologue. I mean, the question is simple: who are you, and why are you attending this? That gives me a greater focus to speak. Okay, so what I'll do is, I think it's people find it slightly onerous to start up that, okay, I'm Shilogna, I'm Avik. So what I'll do is, let me start with a presentation, and then maybe we can have a discussion. I think that will be more contextual, and do feel free, it's your session. Only that we are, separated by a Zoom, but that apart, we are all together. So feel free to unmute, speak at any time, and let me know your thoughts. So let me start a little bit by a presentation. I know it's a Wednesday afternoon, it's a busy time of the day. Try not to multitask during this period. Try to listen into the first part, and then, fate will take you wherever. I can take you only that much. So let me begin by sharing a few initial thoughts which I thought might be cogent here. And thanks, Camelia, and your colleagues for having me here. So this is a risk reduction strategy.
Participants, please mute yourself. If you want to say that, just raise your hand. Sir is here.
Yeah, I mean, it's please feel free to speak, but just say that, background noise sometimes is distracting. So risk reduction strategy, I thought that today would be a good day to sort of speak. And I really welcome you, sincerely welcome you, not really welcome you, sincerely welcome you to this seminar and this summer boot camp, which you have been doing for the 8th day today. So I hope this has been rewarding, and please feel free. Apart from my session, if you want to share anything regarding the boot camp, that is welcome too. So a warm welcome from my side, and it's very warm here from where I speak. The monsoons have not really hit. Have the monsoons hit where you are? So if it has, let me know that we have rains here, or if it's very warm, also let me know. How is the season? You may write by chat. You may also unmute and say that, okay, it's warm here. So sometimes use the chat option as well. So let me write something so that you can see it. Is it warm or cool? So can you respond to that?
Warm, sir.
Okay, it's warm there at Dhanbad. And okay, I can see some chats coming in.
Very warm.
Anu Pratap also says warm. So it's that time of the year when the monsoons are yet to set in. So I thought that I'll, warm in Patna. Thank you, Deepak ji. So now you're responding. So I had to ask you questions, but normally you should be on your own, but very good. It's a warm time of the year, and hopefully you are having good mangoes. Okay, in where I stay there. There's a surfeit of mangoes. Hopefully, you get to get some good mangoes and lychees and good jackfruit. This is the flavor of the season. So, okay, I can see some warm in Noida too. I don't know, Vipin, whether, okay, Vipin, good to see you back, and maybe we'll have a few thoughts. I remember you are a very enterprising entrepreneur, and I'm very thankful that you again joined. So,
Thank you so much. That's a great pleasure to join your session.
thank you so much, Vipin. So, any introductions? Anybody, for example, Deepak or Bhanu Pratap? Would you like to say something, or Vipin? Maybe why
Mr.
don't you?
Vipin, you can introduce yourself and about your company.
Yeah. I'll stop sharing and let Vipin take center stage.
Yeah, hello everyone. Myself, Vipin Sharma. I'm the founder of the company named High Cloud STEM Technologies, and we mainly deal into STEM education. We provide STEM-based lab setups and workshops and training sessions to schools and colleges. So this is the main work which we are doing at present. We have recently registered ourselves as a private limited company. Before that, we were working as a proprietorship firm. Basically from Noida. I think that we all know.
Mr. Vipin, you can turn on your video so that sir can also see you.
Ma'am, actually, I'm like in hospital as at present.
Okay. Sir, actually, he is a new incubator of ACIC IIT ISM. Like he has joined new.
Right. No, I can understand, Vipin. I mean, you are in a different place. So I think we got your introduction. Thank you so much. And I wish all success for your business. And thank you. So I know you are in a hospital, you're in a different location, so difficult to turn on camera. No need. I think it's okay. Deepak Kumar, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Deepak Kumar, sir. I did my electronics and communication engineering already completed in 2013, sir. And right now I am working in service sector, that is automobile service sector, sir. So I want to go through such a startup so that I can lead in a. I'm working also on Ink Lead, sir. Ink Lead.
Excellent. Thank you, Deepak Kumar. I could hear you and that you are working in auto sector. Shulagna, you'd like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Nice to hear you, sir. And I'm doing my research. I'm not associated with any startup. I'm here to learn.
Okay. So you're very clear. I'm here to learn. So thank you for that honest statement, Shulagna. And you're a research scholar. Anybody else who'd like to go? Now or later is fine. Whenever you feel like, just raise your hand and say, I want to say something. Okay, so let me proceed. And I got a few introductions, which is fine. And okay, so introductions was this. And I think Camelia has spoken about my background. So when I started as an engineer, I really wanted to do something. So one was to work for BHEL, where it was a big company. So I could know a lot about boilers and turbines. I used to repair, and I had been into Bihar at that time, Patratu. In Bengal, there was a Durgapur or Kolaghat. These were the thermal power stations. So my first 8 years was good, healthy, as an engineer. And then the next 9 years into Jamshedpur, where it was a steel company. So my first 18 years, maybe the first half, was full of brick and mortar. The next half after my MBA at Accelerate, I became clever, as they say, Raju ban gaya gentleman. So at that time, this movie was a big hit, Shah Rukh Khan's movie. So I moved on to PwC, which was acquired by IBM very soon. So my last 18 years in IBM, and I now work as a business consultant and trainer. Now, when we start, and this is what I really wanted to tell you, that when we start, and all of us, those who have been in, started a little bit of business, started something. So what we get is some.
Mr. Sharad, can you mute yourself? Mr. Sharad, you can mute yourself, please.
Okay, so I think the host has to, take charge and mute. But okay, so this is something, it's very which happens in our lives as an entrepreneur, that there are so many questions which are asked. For example, resource scarcity. You would want a lot of resources, but you don't get. Now, resources could mean money, resources could mean people, resources could mean land, so many things which an entrepreneur will face. Too few people, as I say, that only friends and fools, they will be by the side of you when you start off. So this is a typical scenario that you have very few people who will be by your side. You don't have enough money. So you will say that, if I had money, I would be an established business person. But since I don't have, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Little time, because there are so many things to do and it's all on you. Speed, therefore, becomes very important, that how quickly you can get things done. While venture capitalists can diversify, individual entrepreneurs have to live with risk and manage risk. So the point which I wanted to come quickly today is that risk is something, like a crocodile. If he is in a water, or he or she, whatever is the gender of the crocodile, I mean, you have to live in water and you have to swim. And sometimes you have to swim with the shark. So entrepreneurship is a little bit of getting directly into water. So there's no comfort of, a shade, or being in the land, or being in a portico, or being in a place which is between land and water, like being an amphibian. You don't have the luxury. You are thrown directly into the water. Now, the ones who can swim and survive are the ones who are called the heroes and the heroines. And the ones who do not, they will possibly go and opt for a stable job, something, but not being an entrepreneur. And please cross me at any time if you feel that, you need to, that I have a different point of view, so I need to come in at this time. Now, the questions here, what risks and sacrifices do I need to make? Okay, so as you know, that an entrepreneur's life is, it's riddled with sacrifice and risk. So what is the risk? That you start off with very little knowledge. Then there are some sacrifices. So what I would suggest is, first is asking these questions to yourself, that what are the external and internal factors which affect risk for a small business. I'm not talking of a big business. I'm not talking of a $1 million revenue business. I'm talking of something less than 10 lakhs, something less than 5 lakhs. So for a small business, what would constitute risk? I think this is very important, to do some sort of profiling. Also, a few questions at the outset. Where do I want to go? Now, many people become an entrepreneur because they found nothing else to do. And we know this so well. Are, why did you become an entrepreneur? Oh, I didn't find any job. Now, this cannot be a cogent answer. So, for example, many people want to achieve independence, that I'll do my own thing. I'll not depend on my baba or kaka or dada or somebody. So I will move on my own. So I know many entrepreneurs who say that I'll be my own master. So answer this question in the very beginning, Why do you want to become an entrepreneur? Is it to achieve economic independence? Is it to express your artistic talent? Many people, and then they think, why did I become? Okay, I can showcase my talent. Do you want to experiment new technology? For example, you want to work in lithium ion batteries. And I'll end today's session with a case study on Polaris. Maybe I'll send it off to Dr. Akanksha or Camellia so that you can solve this case study. But for the moment, you want to get your hand into new technology. For example, you say that I'll work in Bitcoin or I'll do blockchain because that is the latest thing to do. Okay. Mohammad Tausif, I see you annotating. Do you have a point of view here? Let me stop sharing for a moment. I could see, Mohammad Tausif, that you had a point. So any points at this stage? And feel free to speak in whichever language. I will try to manage. Language is not a bar. Okay, so I think the annotation is on. So people would be, okay, I see somebody from Redanchal Private Limited. Would you like to say something?
Good afternoon, sir. I just joined.
Okay.
So sorry for that.
No, not a problem. And what is your good name, please?
Raj Pratap Singh Rajawat, sir.
Okay, Raj Pratap Singh Rajawat. So we were talking about enterprise risk and a risk of the entrepreneur. So
yes, sir. I got the topic in the message.
Okay. So now this is very important to clarify in the beginning that what do I want to achieve? Okay, like we say that in local language, kaun sa teer, whatever is the local, that what the heck do you want to do? If I wanted to get it in American English. So what do you want to do? Do you want to experiment in new technology? Do you want quick money? Do you want to build an institution and attract more investors? So these questions are very important to be answered right on. Okay. Now, some of the warning signs, and we'll talk, since we talk of risks, there is a little bit of negativity. So, for example, we know about, this great thinker, Edward de Bono. So he said there are 6 thinking hats. So that people can think. Originally, he said that you must have an optimistic hat whenever you think, and one hat should be a devil's advocate, that things will go wrong. So risk is more or less a negative perception of the worldview. Now, many people don't see risk. For example, I personally am an optimist. I do not try to see risk, but I know from life that it's not all hunky-dory. Things will not go your way because experience says that, if you look at new products, 5 out of 7 new products will fail. Now, I may say that my product will win, but the chance is 2 by 7 or whatever. If you calculate, 200 by 7 would be, let's say, 28% or something. So the rest, 72% of the efforts will fail. So what are the warning signs? Despite all your sunny optimism, that excessive debt in relation to owner's equity. So if debts are going up, if you rely on a few customers. So because when we start off as an entrepreneur, the first thing is that I will have some captive market. So maybe my uncle, my dada, my chacha, my kaka, jatha, whoever it is, they say, or my elder brother, he says that, okay, Rahul, you start off, we are there with you. Now, how long will be there with you? Will be they there with you? If you rely on one product, if you rely on a few suppliers, and therefore the last case study which I give it to you, so they relied on a few vendors, few suppliers. Now, if that supplier plays funny, then difficult. Owning a business means keeping alert to potential risk. So, a businessman never sleeps. This is something which I have learned over the years. I do not see them sleep. Now, I asked them, why don't you sleep? He said that if I sleep, my business might also sleep. So How many of you are with me on this slogan that businessmen never sleep or an entrepreneur can never sleep? Are you on with me or do you say no? Okay, Bhanu Pratap says yes. By sleeping, I mean that you relax. So you cannot relax because if you have won a deal, second is yes, Shulagna also agrees. If you have won a deal, is the payment coming? You get the work, but you don't get the money. So many times, and I guess Bhanu Pratap and many of you will agree with me that we are very happy to get work. Okay, we started, we got work, but till you get money, till you can plow that money back into business, your cycle has not completed. So people who are, weather beaten people, like let's say a player like Messi or Ronaldo, they will not rest till a goal has been scored 3 times. Just to put a football context, that unless you know that you are making money way above your spending, then possibly you are in a better place. But I have never seen a business person saying, oh, we are doing very well. They will always say, okay, not too bad. Okay, how's it going? Not too bad. I used to have a neighbor, and let me tell you a story. When we were in central Calcutta, and now I stay in the southern part of Calcutta, I used to have a neighbor who used to run a business. So I always used to ask, and this was always in local language. But anyway, I'm trying to do an English translation. So I used to say, ব্যবসা কেমন চলছে? So he always used to pull a long face, which means that how is your business going? So, and I used to say Kaka Babu. He was much senior to me. So he used to pull a long face that after Diwali it will pick up. I used to ask him after Diwali, has it picked up, Kaka Babu? Oh, after the Bengali New Year it will pick up. Then I used to ask, when will it pick up? And I never got an answer that, okay, my business is doing great. His answer was, it will pick up after Diwali. Does it ring a bell? Do you feel this is a good answer? Or do you feel it's a pessimistic answer?
Sir, it is pessimistic.
The person is pessimistic. You're right. But that is the way the world is. Okay, he'll never say, and I challenge you to ask this question to anybody. To anybody, and I mean, unless he's a salaried employee, he will say, and Gamelia also says pessimistic. Normally, people will be pessimistic. Why do they become pessimistic? Is because that is the weapon for them as a springboard. Okay. So please see pessimism as a context. Now, and here I am lionizing pessimism for once. I'm a very optimistic person. But now, as I'm in my 60th year of age, I realized that guy was possibly correct. He never used to say, I'm very happy. I have done great business. Or he never used to say, we have closed a deal, which I see with many salaried people. Oh, our company is doing well. But if you're an entrepreneur, I mean, you may feel like, rejoicing or celebrating, but a more practical way is, okay, not too bad. I think that is the best answer I can give you. So a little bit of pessimism here acts as a trigger for your risk hedging. So just bear in mind about this small, incident, which I remember since my childhood. When I was in central Calcutta, the guy always used to say, Diwali ka baat. After Diwali, the business will pick up. Okay. So pay attention to warning signs. Pay attention to whatever you have. Okay. See a chat coming up. Eager to do more in business. Very good. Okay. So there's always this hunger of going more. Now, what could be the risks? I have tried clubbing it into a, 6. I thought of a 9 matrix, but whatever I could. One is that you have family obligations. If there's an illness or death, that is a risk in the family, and this will happen. Events of disaster, events which directly jeopardize you. Then you have loss of credit lines, establish expenses to establish lines of credit. For example, your bank. Loss weather, natural disaster, this I don't take it to. But today, if today, now I ask you the question, will tomorrow be like today? What would be your answer?
No,
You
sir.
can give on chat.
No.
Can you predict tomorrow based on today?
No, sir.
You can't. Because either the GST will change, or the Provident Fund has gone up or down, or there is some political happening which has caused the internet to go off. So there's never a dull moment, or there's a war between Ukraine and whoever thought. We thought, that Corona was the end of it. This is the worst. Then you have this great hero Putin versus, and prices are going up. So if you want to go and buy a bottle of Dhara or any, what is the good word, any mustard oil, costs you nearly 200 rupees. If you go to buy petrol, costs you 115 rupees. So things are not easy. So, and these laws, these are so brittle. But you can prepare for the, yes, breaks in lines or utilities, routine maintenance, loss of clients. Okay, this is important. The third one, the one to your top right. If you start losing clients, so where are they going? Either they're going to a more jazzy competitor, he finds the competition much better, or the guy is no longer interested in you. Decrease in sales prices. Okay, IT. IT is also another challenge. Maybe you have something, but your systems are not very up to date. So you get delayed information, which sound not coming, okay? Let me stop.
No, sir, it's audible. It's audible clearly.
Okay. I saw one remark that sound not coming, so. Ujjwal, sound not coming. Ujjwal, why don't you join in again? If some people can hear me, and maybe you write on chat, I will try to get across to you. Okay. Now, what is risk and reward? Okay. So risk is always associated with reward. That we always say that, an entrepreneur, there's a risk and there was a reward. So define risk as so how is risk defined? A probability of a bad outcome. If somebody asks you what is risk? Now, in IBM or in PwC, so whenever we used to have a project, there used to be something known as an issue. An issue, if left unattended, what is the meaning of an issue? Can you give me a meaning of an issue before I go on to risk? First, we need to grapple issue. Issue, let me spell it out here. So many people say that I have an issue. Can you tell me what is an issue? Deepakji, what is an issue? Since I can see you on camera, so I ask. Or Anushka, would you like to? A problem. Very good. So Amit Shukla says it's a problem. Now, and he's so right. So if I'm just cutting out the chase, he's got the problem, he's got the point. So an issue is something which is niggling. So if you let an issue fester, it will become a risk. Okay. So something, if you see something is not happening right, okay, or a problem. So immediately address it. Otherwise, it will be a probability of bad outcome. High probability of losing a large sum represents a greater risk than a low probability of losing a small sum. So sometimes as an entrepreneur, and I will state 7 ways in which you can hedge risks. So not I will say, this is something industries do. So I'm just being a spokesperson today. Similarly, reward is also a probabilistic function. It's a probability of good outcome. So we say bad outcome, good outcome. So risk is bad outcome, reward is good outcome. Now, be aware that both these concepts have a probability component. That there are certain things which may happen, may not have happened. And a value component. What is the benefit or cost if it does not occur? So that is the gamble which any entrepreneur will have to live with. So there is a risk which may come, may not come. There is a reward which may come, may not come. So just bear these two things in mind and note that this is a function of probability. And many people say that probability is all luck, but I would like to put probability. So one approach is start small. And many of you who are doing business or starting off know this know this better than me. So first, this approach certainly minimizes the cost of failure. So if you start small, means starting sooner than otherwise would be the case, then potentially valuable information. So if you start sooner, you will see that a good entrepreneur will lose no time. What happens if you start early? You get some experience which the other guy will get later if he delays. So this is one advice is start small. Second is conduct conscious experiment. What do I mean by this? The cost of experiment must be less than the cost of a full-blown rollout. Okay. So for example, you want to roll out a new product. Now, obviously, you will do it in a safe geography or with people that you know. For example, you are doing a test mailing to 1% of the target market. So if you get, oh, I got the mail, or if it clicks, you know. Instead of getting onto a big bang that I do a blanket en masse mail, which misses the target. So the goal of experimentation is maximum unit of risk reduction per dollar spent, which means that do an experiment. So two variables come into play. One is, look, to do this small experiment, you may incur some cost. But this cost might be cheaper in the long run because you are getting vital information and the amount of risk reduction that you are buying. That is, it pays to do cheap experiments first, but it also pays to experiment early on so that you have your business module have a low probability of failure. So that is what I say by do some conscious experiment. You know that some money will go down the drain, but let it. You at least know, because no big deed was done without any experimentation. As I said, that you are directly thrown into the water. Third, okay, this is slightly tough. Next, fixed cost variable. Up to the first two was easy. So for example, using sales representative. So you don't have a staff, you don't have an office. And many people, we hear always of American entrepreneurs. I started, like Dell started from a garage. Okay, so what did they do basically? They had no fixed cost. So if you can make fixed cost variable, using sales representatives is often quicker and less expensive rather than having hired people. Although it has disadvantage because this guy might be multitasking, but okay, including less control and higher total cost, using subcons to manufacture rather than build a facility. So first do a make or buy costing and look that always buying possibly would be cheaper. So if you want to make, then you have to invest into fixed cost. You have a facility, you will have an operations guy, you have a marketing guy. Basically, two people are required. Somebody has to make, somebody has to sell. Okay, and this reminds me of this favorite joke of Tata Steel. So when I was in Tata Steel, a joke for you, because you have been listening patiently to me. So how many of you have been to Jamshedpur, if you can raise your hand? I spent 9 years. Okay, Camelia has spent some time. Anybody who spent some time? Okay, I see many Jamshedpurians. Dr. Akanksha Sinha, Anushka. So this was a joke in Jubilee Park. Have you been to the Jubilee Park, Dr.
Yes,
Sinha?
sir. Yes, sir, sure.
Okay.
Many times.
So in Jubilee Park, there was a boy who used to always be found. Okay. So every day so this is a joke which goes in the name of Rusi Modi, because he is no longer there in the world. So people ascribe it to him. It could have been to anybody who's no longer in the world. So Rusi Modi used to ask, what does your why are you every day in the park? Don't you go to the school? So the guy said, no, I don't go to the school. So he said that, okay, what does your parents do? So he said that uh, when I said about the make and buy, so he said my, okay, uh, my father makes steel uh, and my mother buys. Okay, so, oh, my mother steals and my father buys. So, okay, so this was that was a long back. That was something which he used. Uh, so that was about a steel company, but the boy used it in a different sense. So maybe I didn't get it to right. Uh, oh, my father steal. Sorry, it was like this. The joke was my father irons and my mother steals. So that is how the Tata Iron and Steel Company came into being. So his father used to press and the mother used to, or the father used to steal and the mother used to iron. So whenever I say that, make versus buy, I always am reminded of this, uh, father steals and mother irons and father steals about in Jamshedpur. So when you have this make versus buy, so always think about that. Is it good enough to make, or do I, because if you make, then you'll have to give people. Somebody will have to procure. Somebody will have to make it. Will have to be in the operation. Somebody will have to sell it. So is it something that I'll do, or shall I give it to somebody? So make fixed cost variable. Bottom line is, do not put in sunk costs. Then you can't get out of it. Variable cost is okay. The moment you have production, then 1 unit of production, you incur 1 unit of variable cost. That is okay. But till you have produced any one, your fixed cost will go in and in and in. Managing nature and time of commitments. Okay. So one is the timing of commitments you make. So whenever we make a deal, sometimes we say yes. Okay, we'll deliver this for you. Try to avoid making commitments. Now here I'm not saying that don't say no to business. But unless you have a valuable piece of information, then your commitment becomes less risky. What I'm saying is, do not run out in the sun. You might be getting a sunstroke. So take news that when will the sun set? Okay, today it's setting at 5:35. So let me start out at 4 o'clock. So try to hedge a little bit of the risk by managing time and delaying the will to commit. Many people are hyper. So in organizational behavior, we read about type A and type B personality. So type A guys will say, oh, I'll do it. So here it's saying that be a type B guy. Just carry on a little bit, wait a while, and then commit after you're fully informed. So this is a wise counsel to my mind. Okay, stage financing, this is, many of you will know this. It reduces the level of risk to a bearable level, allowing risky ventures an opportunity to get financed. It also allows founders to hold on to more equity. So which means that you don't put your money on the line till there has been some amount of success. So this doesn't require me to sort of give you this gyan. This is already known, but again, said in a slide, so sometimes might prove to be wise. Finally, stay flexible, which is that be ready to exit business if push comes to a shove. Okay, so technology costs more to develop. Things will not go your way. Sales guys will not meet their quotas. Like Murphy's Law, expect the worst to happen. Manufacturing costs are higher. So it's important to stay flexible. So maybe you started with a budget, but it gets bludgeoned into much more. Okay, so this would be the 7th and the final advice is to stay flexible. So what did we discuss? Start small, conduct conscious experiments, make fixed cost variable cost. This I think is the key, the biggest one. Okay, the fourth one is also very important. Do not commit quickly. Take time after you fully know what is the implication of commitment. Stage financing is okay, and stay flexible. Apart from this, I give you a little more of something. Now, this is known as the 7 keys which we used to follow. So 7 keys is more of a project management risk reporting, not really an entrepreneur's risk. But in case, let's say you have a project, uh, this is a dashboard. Maybe you'd like to consider. We used to do it in our projects, but this is when when you have got started. The earlier one is when you are at your drawing board. But let's say you have got past that risk. So we are getting into 7 areas which we will consider. And I'll quickly open it up for your thoughts, discussions. I'm speaking for long, so I'm aware. So number one, your work and schedule are predictable. Okay, that is number one. So for example, you get an order and you know that this is the pace of work that I have to do. So if it is predictable, and I'll come to what it is not, this is one. Let's consider, for example, consider this as Bible. Work and schedule are predictable. Second is business benefits are being realized. That is, you are getting money back. Getting here, business benefits would mean that the client or for whom you are working, that guy also gets his benefit. Many people might put a penalty clause that, okay, you are telling me to buy this from you. It's a new product. What if it does not click? So then you say, sir, you put a penalty clause. If it does not click, then you don't pay me, or you cut so much money from my pay. So is the guy getting the business benefits? That is something you need to be very, very keen on. Stakeholders are committed, which means whether all your people are committed, which means your client, your customer, your people, are everybody together. Like we say in America, I mean, American usage is all on one page. Or is there a person who's not on one page? So when you work across, you will see that there are many cross purposes. For example, finance and marketing and operations. So the moment you try to go into a cell, you will discover more about organizations. And therefore, you will find people at not really committed because they don't have one boss. Unlike as we may want to believe, sabka malik ek hai, but the KPIs are different for everybody. So just bear this in mind. Okay. Did you take on something more than what you can chew? That is, scope is realistic. We say, oh, okay, we will do it because you want to win work. So you say, I'll do it. That is why be realistic. And therefore, do not commit very early. So this falls into place. For example, you take on a lot of work, but you cannot deliver. So at the end, you earn a bad name that, look, this guy made a big face. He said he'll do the work, but couldn't do it. Okay, this is more of HR. The team is high performing. So I'm assuming that the team is high performing. But if it is not, you have to attend. Okay, risks are what we are. Risk could be many risks. It could be legal risk. It could be country risk. For example, who would have known people studying in Ukraine would be faced with such a risk? So you never know where risks come. So do you have a mitigation policy? So with risks come mitigation, and we'll discuss a little more. Okay, finally, are you getting the benefit? That you are delivering this, are you making money? Or are you just helping somebody else to make money? So remember these 7 keys for success. If you track them on a dashboard, you will find a lot of some more reason, some more, you can pad up for bad days. What are the root causes? One is insufficient financial management. We all know why things get into trouble. And here we are getting into a little bit of troubled project, not really a entrepreneur's problem, but in a way allied. Failure to implement or exercise change, lack of a quality plan. Okay, we don't get the right people. technology and architecture issues. You don't have a project management schedule. You think that things will end, but it does take that amount of time. So you have not drawn up a PERT chart or some sort of an activity chart that you know when to finish. You have just started on pure, your emotion or your heart that says that, okay, let's get into this. And finally, no risk management exercise. So one way is to do an impact analysis. So for all entrepreneurs who are budding here and for all seasoned people, I would say that maintain this diary. What is the assumption that you take? So your assumption is that the client will pay me on the 30th day. Risk is, what if he does not pay? What is the impact? So try to write down that the assumptions that we make, the risks that it entails, and the impact that it will have. And therefore, we come to this RAG, or red, amber, green. So when you have a status report, and I think many of you do it, do you maintain a status report? For example, if you look at the status report here, stakeholders are showing red. That is like in a traffic light. It's not the right way. So you have to do something about it immediately. Business benefits, okay, the client is happy, he's getting his money. So that part is green. So maybe you don't need to look at it right now. Work and schedule are predictable. Okay, work is going on, people are busy. For the moment, it's amber. Now, if you do not attend to it, it will become red. If you attend to it, it will become green. So amber is a warning sign. Pretty much when we stop at when I drive my car, if there's a crossing at Esplanade or any other place, the yellow light, sometimes they don't give yellow lights anymore. It's plain a red and a green. But a yellow light is meant that, okay, get ready. Scope is realistic. You have not taken too much on you. You can manage. Green. Good. Team is high performing again. Here it's a amber, which means some people are actually doing the work of 3 people. Like in life, okay, there's social loafing. Some people will put their weight. Some people will say, there are so many capable people. What will happen if I do not put in my weight? So are you having that sort of a situation? Are you mitigating risks? Again, green, again, amber. And finally, you are not getting your money. Delivery organization means you. You as an org, you are not getting your pay on time. So that is a red. What will you do to do this? We used to have a game which was very dynamic, a 7 keys game. Unfortunately, I can't do it with you virtually. I wish I could at one point in time so that you can do it was on risk analysis. So the long and short of the game is, if I try to make the red one amber, the green one will turn amber also. Okay, like in life, you put some resources and the other one then shows a gaping wound. Okay, you have satisfied one risk, but you have opened up another front. So it's a lovely game. I wish someday we could play it together, and I'll seek your thoughts on this as we go on to the final piece. So the 7 keys is, okay, look forward. So think about impact, not a great slide, but I mean, it's a communication tool. It's more of a project management tool, but it's about risk. Finally, I will go on to the Tesla case. Now, Elon Musk, okay, Elon Musk defied nature. In a way, he was sort of anti-gravity. Now, Michael Porter, the great management thinker, he said that there would be economies of scale. There would be learning curves. There is access to distribution channel. You will have patents. You will have unrecoverable upfront R&D expenditures. All this is very much present in the automobile industry. So all the players, General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Honda, Nissan, they all rule the auto world. Okay. Now, who would have thought that an electric car, Tesla, would also be announced in the same breath as these cars? Did we think even 10 years ago? We did not. So look at the foresightedness or the amount of risks which this man took. And he is where he is. So what did it, sorry, I'll stop sharing. I think I heard a comment or something. Somebody wanted to speak out. Do you have any thoughts? I'll let me finish this and then I'll quickly turn it back to you. I think Elon Musk will always raise a lot of emotions. So let me go straight here. Yeah. So what to do? He envisioned market dissimilar to existing ones. So he didn't look at the world that it would only be fuel-driven cars. So he had, and maybe he had information, but the others also possibly had seen this, but he was the one who could see it farthest. So he said markets can change and the role of the entrepreneur is to figure out new things. Doing something different that's truly good for society. And today you'll see many petrol pumps because they know these natural resources are coming to an end. People are applying for charging stations and you will see it all across. And I mean, this man has sort of accelerated the pace. Don't assume the world always has to be the way the current, what not to do. So he's given a counsel that do not operate as the world would have want you to do. So what Musk and Tesla did, don't follow the trend. I think important to reason the first principles. And therefore, all these innovations or all these people who have taken risks, they have won because they have taken a risk with a lot of information. It's mentally easier to reason by analogy. So he is given what Musk and Tesla, they have not brought conventional wisdom that, okay, this was done this time. For example, thermal power plants. When I started life in 1984, there were so many thermal power plants. 60 megawatt at that time, BHEL was making a lot of power plants. And India was lapping it up. Aligarh, Muzaffar, Nagar is in UP. So let's say in Bihar, there was the Patratu, there was DVC Chandrapur. Muzaffarpur, okay, so maybe a misplaced one. Muzaffarpur is, yeah, Muzaffarpur. So if I look at the number of power plants in Bengal, there was Shantaldi, there was Durgapur, there was Kolaghat. Kolaghat was coming at that time. There was Bandel, there was Titagarh. I mean, if you look at CSC or WBSC, now there are private players. If you look at Ahmedabad, Ukai, if I look at Central India, Singrauli, Farakka, in again, North Bengal. If you look at South Kottaguram now, how many of these power plants today are viable? Because coal is drying up, so it's fossilized gas. So if you do not challenge technology, nothing new will come up. Because we didn't know in 1984, and BHEL used to be the Raja of thermal power plant boilers. Tata Steel used to be the king of steel. The two companies where I worked, they used to think that this will last forever, but no longer. Okay, because everything is becoming, steel markets were down during Corona, slowly picking up, but there are so many players, mini steel players. So you hear of Sham Steel, those who use scrap to make steel. On the other hand, you have these big steel makers like Tisco, who are taking, coal from Dhanbad, iron ore from Noamundi, doing a reduction equation, Fe2O3 plus C is equal to Fe plus CO plus CO2. Then that pig iron is being, you are making an alloy of it, you are putting in phosphorus, manganese, molybdenum, and getting steel. So now this entire whole hog, many people have cut short the process. They will start from finishing mills. So what I'm saying is there are so many ways to think. And as an entrepreneur, our job should be like Elon Musk, to think differently. He has also said that start with a minimal viable product. This, every entrepreneur, they say that, and I think it resonates with my 7 counsels. when I say start small, so start with something that is doable. Okay. The other thing is we don't like bad feedback. Somebody says, okay, Rahul, your talk wasn't so good this time. Last time was better. Now, if I do not take that comment, I will have lost out on my growth. So similarly, Elon Musk said that even if it's negative feedback, take in that, because there could be an amount of truth in that and you could grow from there. Be flexible based on what your consumer wants and that experience gained. So at the end, I think that be flexible was there in the last slide also. So this is also Elon Musk says that, be nimble. Do not be stuck or hung on to like a General Motors or Ford, those who refuse to change. So if you see a movie called The Founder, and many of you may have seen it already, how did the Ferrari beat Ford? So, I mean, Ferrari was a new chip on the block. So similarly, I'll not talk of, the Ubers and the Airbnb, those who have been disruptive, but I'll only leave you with this, that people who have succeeded, they have been flexible. The final three, Musk says that work with others to leverage industry expertise. For example, you are not the only one who knows the game. There are so many people in automobile industry. At the end, what is Musk changing? He is changing the charging of the electrical vehicle. Earlier, you used to have fuel. Now it will have a different power. I mean, power remains same, but you are using electrical energy. Earlier, you used a lot of chemical energy. So, but car will be a car. There'll be a gear. There will be a wheel. There'll be a power steering, etc., etc. So anybody who drives, so gain expertise from people who are in the industry. Try to enhance the total product. Do not only go by parts and constantly innovate. I think the last one is sort of, more of an insight. And finally, I leave you with a case. Now, Polaris Battery. It is a 2012 company based in Oregon. So they have a variety of services. They are into lithium ion battery. So we use all these small batteries. If you look at your watch, if you look at your calculator, everything from your cell phone. Okay, cell phone I should have said first. So everywhere lithium ion batteries are being used. So Polaris, they're a startup company and they have these portfolio of services like prototyping. They're into R&D, they're into cell development, they're into consulting and small scale production. They have 4 types of clients. One is startup, one is original equipment manufacturer, there are universities whom they cater to, and they have large chemical companies. Obviously, lithium ion it's a chemical product at the end of the day. So you can Google up Polaris battery, and I was struck by this case study by the way they sort of hedge risks. And I just leave you with some questions, and maybe we can have a discussion based on this or any of the portion of my session which I took. So some exhibits, if you look at worldwide battery markets, so lithium ion is slowly gaining ground. In 1990, it was nowhere. The black one shows lithium ion is gaining ground. So lead acid used to be the king. Okay, pretty much our ever-ready batteries. Okay, like I have a radio, which is like this, and I always listen to it. So I'll show my radio when I stop sharing. So this has an ever-ready battery or a lead acid battery, which becomes soft after, if you play the radio too hard, after, and I listen to Vivid Bharti, I listen to all dramas, etc. So, I have a habit of listening to the radio, whether it's, anyway. So lead acid so lithium ion is the order of the day. So this is one exhibit for you. The value chain of lithium ion is from material provider, you go to a cell developer, then to a battery pack maker, and then to a device manufacturer. So this is a value chain, and this is very small, the components of a cylindrical shell. So there's a positive terminal, there is an exhaust gas release vent, terminal lead pretty much like a battery. It will have a positive and a negative, but the manufacturing is different. So, and you can also wear it on your like Fitbit. Okay, many of you go to, I guess many of you run in the morning. Many of you wear a wearable technology on your watch. How many amount of, how many paces did you do? So for free form lithium ion batteries for wearable technologies. I leave you with these 6 questions. You have heard that Polaris has 4, it has a portfolio of 4. OEMs, startups, universities, chemical companies. So what question number 1, how should Polaris balance its pursuit of new technologies with scaling of existing technologies? Because it always wants to be at the cutting edge. How should the company balance its product portfolio? Which means that should it be more into OEM? Should it be more into, so how does it hedge risk? With such a complex product mix, how can Polaris mitigate quality risk? How does Polaris mitigate the risk of, okay, so lithium ion, one very big problem is hazardous waste, as with any electronic item. How will Polaris mitigate risk of supplier? This I think we discussed earlier on. If a supplier, and this is there's importers, in the 5 forces, that one of your guy who can let you down is the supplier. Obviously, the customer will arm twist you for lowering prices, but the supplier can also arm twist you. So I leave you these questions for you to think about. I've spoken for nearly an hour. I open it up for your thoughts, your practical questions, your inferences, and then we'll head for a final closure. So we spoke, just to summarize so that I give you a context, we spoke of risk is unavoidable. Risk and reward are intertwined. It's a function of probability. Risk is a probability of bad outcome. Reward is a probability of good outcome. Next, we said that there is a 7-point agenda to reduce risk. Start small, make conscious small experiments. And I think there were 5 more, I'm not repeating. Make fixed costs variable so that you don't carry too much of overhead. And we said that, make commitments only when you know. The next thing which we said is the direction of Elon Musk. That yesterday, who would have thought that an electric car would, and he studied technology for a long time. He saw that petrol and oil dependence and all these geopolitical dadagiri which goes on. I mean, I'm using a local word. This arm twisting, people acting big. To stop this, there has to be something different. So he thought very differently. And he said that, hey, entrepreneurs, think differently. And finally, I ended up with a Polaris, which is into lithium ion, not even 10 years old or maybe 11 years old. What does it do to balance its portfolio, to hedge risks? So, sir, how can I? Okay, Bhanu Pratap. Okay, so Bhanu Pratap has come with a, Bhanu Pratap, why don't you come on voice? I mean, I can read your question. You have said it. How can I mitigate that risk of? Yeah, I didn't dwell, and that's a great question which he asked. I didn't actually touch on HR with a precise reason, because since so this is about internal disputes. Can you be a little more, if you can, what you can? I know it's sensitive, but if you can share a little bit, that would add some value.
So dispute in a company management and founders between each other. So how can I eliminate or manage this dispute?
And there are people who report into you. What is your, I mean, the power structure, where are you?
Yes, sir.
So they report into you, the people who are disputing?
Mr. Bhanu Pratap, actually, sir is asking that what is your designation in the company? Are you the managing director?
Sir, I am a CEO. Yes, sir, I am
So
CEO.
you are the CEO and these two people would, and both of them matter to you, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do you think you'd like to do? Now that you have heard me, and I know that some resources are very key, you can't let go. What 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 does your heart tell you to do? First, let me ask you. Then I try some sort of a, I can't do a good answer, but I'll try.
Sir, I don't have an answer to that question.
So
I ask you.
fine. So these two people, I'm guessing there are two, or there may be two, more than two. What is their function?
I'm sorry, sir. Yes, sir.
What do they do? What is their role in the company?
Sir, these are founders, co-founders, sir.
Sorry, can you these
yes,
are?
sir. These are the founders.
Okay, these are
co-founders.
founders.
Right, sir.
Okay, of which, yeah, please tell me a little bit more. Yeah, continue.
So, sir, dispute is basically, sir, in the shares of the co-founders, I will sacrifice some shares to bring a new partner in the company. So, a dispute between each other, and that time I cannot handle in this time that type of dispute. So, I can push into you, sir.
Okay. I don't know whether I have an answer to this, but what I would suggest is between the two, one would be elder.
Right.
Is there anybody who's above 50?
No, sir. No, sir.
What is their age? I mean, that if there are two people and there's a difference in opinion of the shares, what would be the ages of both the players?
Sir, same as 21, 22.
Okay, 21, 22. Okay, so you don't give me much of a choice. What have you tried till now? Have you tried for a discussion?
Right, sir. I have tried to discuss them, and they will be agree after some time.
Okay, between the two, whom do you feel one is more capable than the other?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if you stand by that person, what is the risk you run? For example, you support the one whom you think is more capable, and the other person doesn't like it. So what is the risk you run?
Sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Mr. Bhanu Pratap, you can speak in Hindi as well or any other language.
नहीं, दोनों में जो आदमी ज्यादा काबिल है उनका पीछे अगर आप साथ देते हैं, इफ यू गो बाय मेरिट, ओके, और बिजनेस मेरिट, लेट्स से बिजनेस मेरिट, लेट मी पुट इट दिस वे, जिनसे काम होगा तो उनको आप पूरा सपोर्ट कर देने से आपको क्या हर्जा है? आई मीन वो दूसरा आदमी क्या कर लेगा आपको?
सर कंपनी छोड़ के जा सकता है सर दूसरा आदमी,
क्योंकि
मेरे लिए सर इम्पोर्टेंट सर दोनों है सर, दोनों इम्पोर्टेंट है मेरे लिए सर, और सर मैं किसी को एक को मतलब दुखी नहीं करना चाहता हूँ, राइट सर। तो इस तरह से डिस्प्यूट आ जाता है कभी कभी सामने, तो उसको किस तरह से एलिमिनेट करना है हमें, जैसे कि मैनेजमेंट भी सही बना रहे और किसी को हर्ट भी ना हो सर।
मिस्टर भानु प्रताप, आप अपना कंपनी के बारे में थोड़ा एक्सप्लेनेशन दे सकते हैं सर को, तो एटलीस्ट सर को समझने में थोड़ा इजी होगा।
ठीक है भानु प्रताप, आई थिंक यू हैव टच्ड अपॉन दिस। तो मेरा यही सलाह है कि मैदान को आप बढ़ाइए। ओके, ये मेरा एक बॉस बोला था कि गिव देम अ डिफरेंट मार्केट टू प्ले, एज सिंपल एज दैट। दोनों को खेलने का अगर दोनों ज्यादा जरूरी है, बट यू कैनॉट आप एक को नजरअंदाज नहीं कर पाएंगे। अगर दोनों को ही आपको रखना है तो आपको मैदान को बढ़ा देना है। As simple as that, you have to expand your business so that they don't have the same field where they fight. तो ये मेरा माने, this is my immediate response to your, if that is possible, or give them a belief that okay, we are reconsidering, both of you are very capable, but since there's a conflict or a difference in interest, तो हमने ये सोचा है कि हमने ये व्यवसाय को और थोड़ा बढ़ाएंगे और उसका ये अंश दोनों में बंटवारा किया जाएगा. Just see the reaction. Okay, I think you start by giving a case study, something like I did. Okay, case study आप दे दीजिए उनको. आप इतना पढ़ाई लिखाई किया, 1.5 घंटा spent किया, get them face to face. That I think he has tried already, but that is why he has come to me. So what I suggest is, Akanksha ji is telling you the right thing, लेकिन कभी-कभी ये सब बात से आप एक सिनेरियो 1, 2, 3 कीजिए. ओके, आप तो MBA, यू आर एन MBA स्टूडेंट, इतना पढ़ाई लिखाई किए हैं, तो कैमेलिया जी से, आकांक्षा जी से पूछ के आप एक सिनेरियो 1, 2, 3 कि देखिए अगर हम ये व्यवसाय को वाइंड ऑफ कर देते हैं at this point. Okay, let me close the business, कि बस पैसा लेके जिसका घर चले जाइए. ये है नंबर 1. नंबर 2 है हम बिजनेस को बढ़ा देते हैं. ओके, सो आपको एक शेयर मिलेगा, इनको एक शेयर मिलेगा. एंड द थर्ड इज कि ऐसे ही आप लोग झेलते रहिए, झगड़ा करते रहिए, हम भी सहते रहेंगे. यू गिव देम अ सिनेरियो 1, 2, 3 और देखिएगा कुछ परिवर्तन शायद हो. डज दिस अपील टू यू?
Yes, sir.
माने यू गिव देम अ सिनेरियो. आप ऐसे ना समझाने का नहीं होगा नहीं, आप उसको बिजनेस सिनेरियो दीजिए. सिनेरियो 1, if you continue, we can have this scenario of an expanded business, we can have a reduced business, we can go in for liquidation of business. Then see how they react. Because if you are the CEO, और भानु प्रताप जी आपका उम्र कितना है?
Sir, मेरा 22 है sir.
22.
Yes.
अच्छा, you are very young. ठीक है. And who guides you in this? Is your father or somebody?
No sir.
आप खुद अपने आप करते हो. ओके.
Right, sir.
और आप ना यू कनेक्ट विथ मी ऑफलाइन. ये इतना सीधा बात नहीं है. आपका सवाल बड़ा गंभीर सवाल है. But I tried something. One is a scenario, scenario 1, 2, 3, and see how they react. Because if you try to bring them on a table, क्या बात कीजिए आपस में, भेदभाव ये मिल लीजिए, that will not happen. Because it's about money, it's about power. So, okay, one of them is destroying the work culture. So many people are giving you good advice, but I think your question was deep. And sir, how can I manage mutual understanding? I think my answer is give them a scenario.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, scenario 1, 2, 3, and tell them to choose. कि आप सोचिए कि कंपनी को हम लोग so I'll sell off this company, or I'll expand, और ये थर्ड हाथ में चला जाएगा. One of you give them a solid reason कि आप इसको खरीद लीजिए. तो one of them will back out. कोई कहेगा कि हमसे होगा नहीं. तो आप 2-3 सिनेरियो उनको दीजिए. ठीक है, आप लोग झगड़ रहे हैं तो आप खरीद लीजिए, या आप हमको you let me decide, या इस बिजनेस को हम लोग let's wind off altogether. So give 2 or 3, you think about it and get in touch with me offline if you feel like.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Does it help you, Bhanu Pratap ji?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
आपको नए तरह का सोचना पड़ेगा, दोनों को आमने सामने बैठा के. I don't think this will end.
Right, sir.
Okay, any questions, any other questions? Thank you, Bhanu Pratap ji, for that question. On risk reduction, over the 1.5 hours that we spoke, anybody who has a view, thoughts, open to you.
Participants who wants to ask question, sir is free to answer. Please do ask. Raise your hand and then ask. Mr. Sanjeet Kumar, you can ask sir directly.
What is the key point to see by having and how Tata help people? Okay, how to make good. Okay, these are okay. Sanjeet Kumar, thank you. So key points to see how Tata. देखिए टाटा ये जो बड़ा कंपनी, since I worked in Tata's, One is, will the guy stay for 12 years? Okay, Tata ने ये देख लेता है. हमने जिन कंपनी में काम किया, wherever I have worked, they usually see, they make it as a strategic investment. कि आदमी, whether this guy will stick on for 12 years. Why am I saying 12 years? IBM used to do it. Now they never say that I'm, now if the employee leaves before 12 years, that's his problem or her problem. But the company usually, when they hire, they look at something, that whether this guy will work for me for the next 7 to 10 years. Isse zyada, I don't think it's possible. Beyond this, it's not possible. So that is about Tata. Tata's, how do they hire? So they will have their, and which part of Tata, I'm not sure, whether Tata Steel or Tata Motors, any Tata group. So Tatas have a code of conduct. They are supposed to be key points. Integrity is one. Qualification, I think. So they'll have a job description or a template. So I can answer specific, because if I see an advertisement, how to make good work culture from the beginning. Okay. This is a deep question. So if you are an entrepreneur, okay. So how do you make good culture? Can somebody tell me? For example, if you look at Walmart, okay, I'm coming to Shlogna's question. If you look at Walmart, the Sam Walmart travels in a small car. So the message I am giving is, I need work and not the jazz. Okay, so you can, so small things like your office cubicle, like the way you come to the office. So those are small things, or you reward people for good behavior, or down to the lowest man. For example, I'll give you, in many offices you will see, घड़ी नहीं ठीक से time दिखाता है. Is it a true statement or wrong statement?
True, sir.
The watch usually shows a wrong time, unless it's somebody watches it. Is it true or false?
Sir, sometimes false, sometimes true.
Sometimes true, sometimes false. Now, if okay, if you start encouraging the, let me answer it quickly because we are running nearly out of time. If we encourage the right behavior, for example, the person who sets that watch right, and you celebrate that look, he's done a good job. If you celebrate the right work behavior or work ethic, you will be starting to begin a good work culture. What is good? What is celebration of a right work ethic? Somebody who goes that extra mile to make the client happy. Somebody who makes your life easier by giving. So for example, we all work in a chain. So in a chain, we give a half-hearted deliverable to the next man, but the guy who really gives it in a finished form, so that you have to work minimally, I think that is something which should be rewarded. So I mean, that is in small, Sanjeev ji, but maybe again, as I said, you can connect me offline. We can. This is again a deep question about culture, but I quickly wanted to get into Shulagna's question of risk appetite. Okay, risk appetite. So there's a profiling. Okay, how to evaluate risk appetite. So there's a questionnaire which we use before starting a venture, that how much of ambiguity the guy can tolerate. I mean, one who can tolerate risk. If you see all big entrepreneurs, okay, so they can tolerate a lot of ambiguity. Nothing is made clear to them. Unlike, a lower division clerk, that everything has to be made very clear to me, that this is my work. So if you can work in ambiguity, if you can make sense of, something which is very abstruse, then I think your risk appetite is very high. Now, is there a format? Yes, there is. Now it depends on which industry, what. So there's a tool called HAZOP to Shulagna. So there are many risks. Like I use the 7 keys as a tool. You can use a simple red, amber, green. You can use so many methodologies. But I like the question. This is a specific question. So there is a template, or there are softwares by which you can find out the risk appetite of the entrepreneur. To answer in brief. Does that answer you, Shulagna? Okay, I think you are mentioning something in the chat. Okay, let me go a little, scroll down. Okay, it's a direct message to me. Thank you. How to make link for feedback form. What are the other questions you have? So I could answer a few. We are on top of the hour, Camellia. So again, to summarize, let me close, because we have reached the end of time and you have been so patient. Many of you may have had questions.
There is time.
Okay, but I think they might have other engagements, because you booked them 90 minutes. So, we may assume and be polite, but somebody may say that, I have an engagement, I have to go away. But I really wanted to, because I see some people dropping off. So Ayush Gupta, Aman Agarwal, Shilpa Pandit, Shanu Raj, Sanjeet, and people who have spoken like Bhanu Pratap, Piyasha Doloi, Vipinji, we have spoken, Tushar, Shama Pado, Shobit Verma. To all of you, thanks for being a good listener. Sailesh, Sadev, Tyagi. If you have any final question, this is your time, or else we will again reassemble.
Sailesh,
for another
do you
day.
have any question to sir?
I think there's a network problem, Camellia. So, any final comments who doesn't have a network problem or something on chat? But I really liked your, your Josh, your enthusiasm. So hopefully you got a sense of some of the ways to reduce risk. And I really thank Dr. Akanksha Sinha and Camellia for hosting the 8th day.
We are very much grateful to you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for being with us, sir. Sir, there is a question from Mr. Sailesh.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible now.
So my name is Sailesh Kumar, and I am a founder of and director of SS Plugman Electrical Private Limited, and my brand name is Plugman. And I am a startup. Recently, मैंने जो है एक इलेक्ट्रिकल एसेसरीज की कंपनी स्टार्ट की है, एक न्यू वे प्रोडक्शन ऑफ न्यू वे डायरेक्ट डिलीवरी ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट डोर टू डोर. यस सर.
हाँ जी, बोलिए. I think you attended the last seminar also.
Yes sir.
I remember you. How are you, Sailesh ji?
Fine sir.
Okay. बोलिए आपका what is आपका question क्या है?
सर ये किसी भी कंपनी को स्टार्ट करने के पहले उसका जो सारा टेस्ट प्रोसीड्यूर है उसके बारे में जानकारी चाहिए था.
मतलब और थोड़ा विस्तारित बताइए. आई मीन टेस्ट प्रोसीजर मतलब जो चीज मैंडेटरी जो कागजात चाहिए.
यस सर.
ओके. तो ये तो आपने तो ऑलरेडी चालू कर दिया है. यू हैव ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड.
यस सर.
ठीक है. तो ये देखिए ये तो स्मॉल स्केल एंटरप्राइज है या लार्ज स्केल, मीडियम स्केल, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन कि किस तरह का आपका है. लेकिन बेसिक जो कंपनी लॉ, आपका कंपनी को पहले फॉर्म करना पड़ेगा. तो ट्रेड लाइसेंस चाहिए, रजिस्ट्रेशन चाहिए. तो कुछ बेसिक चीज जो होती है वो तो चाहिए. किस तरह का व्यवसाय में आप you said about a plugman. So are there any safety things that you need? And if needed, we could talk separately, because in a big forum I cannot give you so much more. लेकिन ये basic है that your formation of a company, उसका जो कागजात, that must be in order, that you are a profit making organization, or if there is any safety related procedure, that is something you will need.
सर मैं सेफ्टी रिलेटेड प्रोसीड्यूर के बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, तो इलेक्ट्रिकल सेफ्टी के बारे में अगर आप विस्तारित हमको भेजेंगे तो I can give you a, if you can mail me, I can send you what are the documents that you need.
Yes sir, please type your contact details sir.
Okay, is that okay if I type my contact detail?
Yes sir.
Okay, let me type it here. और शैलेश जी, आज का सेशन आपको कैसा लगा?
ये काफी
इंटरेस्टिंग था.
आपने जो भी स्टेप बाय स्टेप्स जो भी प्रोसीड्यूर बताया, इवन ये जो 7th की आपने जो बताया वो काफी इंपॉर्टेंट था.
हाँ, ये 7 की ना बहुत अच्छा हम लोग का कंपनी में ये यूज होता है, तो ये जरूर आप इस्तेमाल कीजिए. ये स्लाइड डेक हम कैमेलिया जी का पास रख देंगे, आप उनसे थोड़ा प्रोक्योर कर लीजिए और आप जरूर 7 कीज लगाइए अपने काम में.
सर मैंने उसका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लिया और उसको नोट डाउन भी कर लिया.
अच्छा, आप स्क्रीनशॉट ले लिए तो ठीक है. एनीवे, आई विल सेंड दिस स्लाइड एंड थैंक यू. इट्स पीपल लाइक यू, आप जैसे एंटरप्रेन्योर, यही सेशन अभी लोग के लिए है. और आप हमको डायरेक्ट मेल कीजिए, हम जो कागजात जो चाहिए होगा हम आई विल ट्राई टू गेट व्हाटएवर यू नीड.
यस सर.
Okay, thank you Shailesh ji, and thank you for all the good words that so many of you are saying on chat, but I think it's been a long session, so we need to give them relief. Camelia and Dr. Akanksha, so let them go. It's
Thank
been
you
a
very
long
much
day.
sir.
Thanks. And I will give you the slide.
We will request everyone to turn on your camera so that we can take a happy face picture.
Okay. Shailesh ji se to hum mile hain pehle.
Maybe I have a problem in my camera, you know that.
You can come this side actually.
Okay, those who can come on the camera, those who can't, they can't. Make it easy for them, Camelia. Don't make it hard for them.
No.
It's their we keep on saying it's up to them whether they switch on or not.
But
So
thank you, sir, for providing us time in your busy schedule. So thank you very much.
It was my pleasure, Camelia, and hopefully you can take the pictures. And I love to come back, and if physical, I would even be more happier whenever that time comes.
Sure, sir. We'll do that very quick.
And participants, tomorrow is the final session of this 10-day summer school boot camp. Who join us? One thing I would like to say, other than the incubatees of ACIC, there are few participants like Umar Raja and Sulagna Nandi, Abhishek Kumar Singh. There are few of them who are continuously joining all our sessions. A big thanks and round of applause to all of them. Sulagna Nandi, especially you, because you have told even you are not an entrepreneur and still just for learning purpose you have joined this. Thanks a lot to you and all the participants here. Thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Okay, bye, Bose.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, Bose.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening and have a good cup of tea and coffee.
Okay, sir.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Bye for now.
Bye, Bose. Thank you.